And as we're laying the foundation for building this five-star church through service, one of the things that I was asked to kind of speak on is to talk about is the value of the customer. And so I think, us really understanding the value of the customer or the church member will kind of help us to lay the foundation for the five-star church. And the reason why is because what we found across the board is that when you have a true customer, a customer that has really been served well, a true customer that you really won their heart, that true customer will do three things. They will pay full price, they will come more often, and they will tell others about the experience. And as related to the church, if you think about that, that's really what we want from the church. We want to serve people in a way that they want to come more often, that they definitely will tell others about about their worship experience, so they'll come to worship with us. But when you talk about full price, you talk about the support of the church. You want members and you want customers that will support your business day in and day out. And the relevance, there are some tangibles and some intangibles about that. The tangible thing is you see their money, you see it coming through the register, we see it every day, it comes through the register. So that's the tangible thing, the thing that you can put your hands on. But there's also that intangible thing about winning the heart of that customer. So if you imagine when you win the heart of someone, a customer, a member, there is a life expectancy that they have. So customers, we all get older, and so as we get older, we have children. Our children becomes our customer. Those children have children. If we serve them well, then those children become our children. And so it is in the church. Our goal is that we will raise our children, we will prepare them in a way and show them a worship experience in a way that they will bring their children will want to come to church, their children will continually want to come to church, and as it goes, the grandchildren, great-grand, and it goes on and on and on. And so that's the intangible thing. We just really don't know over the lifespan of our expectancy how many those will provide to us to become potential members, potential guests, or whatever that is. And so that's really the value of a customer. The value, years ago, I remember Chick-fil-A put a dollar value on it, and they said every customer over the span of their lifetime, it was somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. But when you think about it, that's a lot of money. Somebody coming to Chick-fil-A, $15,000 worth of times or $20,000 worth of time, no matter how many years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, that's a lot of money. When you think about somebody, if they could put it down on paper and do a budget and say, $1,000 went to Chick-fil-A this year. Should I take that $1,000? So it's really eye-opening when you really consider the value that a customer has for your business. And so the reason I wanted to say that first is because then when we go into becoming a five-star church through serving, it lets us know how important it is to serve well, because we really don't know the impact that we're having long-term for our membership, our customer, whoever that person is. And so, servanthood really is just about serving, meeting the needs of others. And so, as we talk through today, the two things really that we're gonna talk about are heart and care. And so, really, everywhere that you see serve or that you hear serve, we're gonna really kind of just, in your mind, if you can just kind of replace that with care. So when you hear me say care, just think serve. So they're gonna be interchangeable today. That's how kind of we're gonna approach our becoming a 5-star church through service. So the first thing is winning the heart of the people is our ultimate goal. It's the same thing, winning the heart of our customer. That's what we're doing when we're serving, when we're caring. And Chick-fil-A, by the way, we used to have a corporate mission. So my personal, I don't know if Dominique has ever shared this with you, when he asked me about doing this, or asked Pastor about doing this, but my mission at my Chick-fil-A is to be the goal is to create a 5-star restaurant experience inside of a quick service restaurant. And so that's why we try to serve the way that we serve, because we want them to feel like that this $15,000, this $20,000 that they spend over the lifespan of their expectancy, that it's really contributed in a way that makes them feel like they really invested in something, that they invested in a culture that they can't get anywhere else. Like Pastor mentioned, the McDonald's experience as opposed to Chick-fil-A. We want our guests to feel like if they come to me, they can't get this experience anywhere else. They can't get it at a Wendy's, they can't get it at McDonald's, they can't get it at the churches, they can't get it at a Popeyes, even though they might have a chicken sandwich. It goes beyond the chicken sandwich. There actually is more than just putting a sandwich in the bag, giving it to a customer. There's an experience that goes with that, and most people are paying for the experience. And so what Chick-fil-A, what we want, we offer the experience. As part of that meal, we offer an experience. And once our guests sit down, honestly, we don't want them to get up for anything else. If we see a guest getting up, we want our team members getting out there, sir, man, what do you need? What can I get for you? We've identified groups that we will actively target when we see a parent with a child. My team is expected to actually automatically, you're gonna take that tray for that parent. If she's got a child or she's got a stroller, if she's pushing a high chair, you're automatically gonna serve that guest a little bit above the call of duty. If you see somebody come in on the crutches or in a wheelchair, handicap, we're automatically gonna go a little bit that extra mile to make sure that their guest feels welcome and at home just like everyone else. If we have guests with large orders, we're automatically gonna know we're gonna send somebody out to that car to help carry that guest. It's automatic. The mindset is as soon as you see, if they have more than one bag, somebody's going out to that car. That's an expectancy that we have. That's what we call part of our extra mile. And then we have the elderly. When we have elderly guests, they come up to our counter. We have a regular young lady. She had a stroke years ago. She have limited use of one arm, and she's got like a brace or something on one leg. So my team, someone from my team, almost every day, if they see her coming, they get the door open for her, and they almost walk her meal out to her car for her every day. That's just, and so by that, we built a relationship with her. When she first started coming, it was funny. We didn't know this guest from anybody else. And now the moment she walks in, she's screaming everybody's name out, hey, so-and-so, hey, so-and-so. But because now we built a reputation with her, we built a relationship with her, we've won her heart that we're compassionate, that we love you regardless of, we don't look at her any differently, we just know that she has a handicap, and so she deserves a little extra attention. And so that's how we treat her, and she loves it. Believe me when I say she loves it. They call her name, and she call our name. But just about every day, somebody's walking her. She may get nothing but her number thing is a salad, but a team member, myself even sometimes, we almost always walk that out to that car for that guest. And so that's just that little extra mile thing. And so we center ourselves around being different. It has to be intentional. You really have to be intentional about doing that extra, about winning that heart. And so a few things. So we know it's related to the church. You know, there's an experience that goes with that heart change. So while I believe that, I know this is a leadership conference, and so while I believe that everybody, not everybody was born to be a leader, I do believe that everybody was born to serve. Everybody was born to serve or to be served, because every leader needs to be served at some time, and every leader hopefully will reciprocate that and serve sometime, because that's really how you build trust. Is by serving. Honestly, you know, one of the things that we hear that Chick-fil-A talks about in just about every meeting we go to is one of the things they always say is, you know, nobody cares about your skill if they see that you don't care. So when you can be the best manager, you can be the best cook, but when you don't care about anybody, and people, care is one of those things that you feel. You know, that's an action word. Care, serving, that's an action word. People they see it and they feel it. When you're genuine, people know it. And so when they come into an environment where they think you are serving to get something out of it, or you're serving for money, so to speak, or for whatever that is, a guest has a way of disconnecting, you know, finding somewhere else to go and spend their money. We've seen it many times. We, as an African American culture, when we walk into stores, and there's a disconnect in a lot of places that we go in. We walk in a place, and then, you know, the cashier, it's either one of two things. Either they ignore you or they watch you. So it's either one extreme to this extreme, but it's never just a care relationship where they, hello, so how are you doing today? And I've been there, and you know, I thank God every day that I'm one of those guys that I am who I am. Nobody knows that I'm a business owner. I go into Walmart, and some of my customers that come and say, "You shop at Walmart?" You know, but you know, I have to eat just like everybody else, and so I need light bulbs, I need towels, and so. But their mentality is that they think that, I guess, because you have a successful business over here, and they think that you may be well off, that you don't need to go to Walmart. But I actually like being seen at the people that support my business. So I like to go because I'm reciprocating that. I'm letting them know, yeah, you support my business, so I'm supporting you. And so that's what building that relationship is about. But a lot of times, like I said, there's a disconnect. And so people honestly, genuinely just want to know that you care. They want to know that there is something that make you worth spending their time, their effort, and their money with. And so when we win the heart of people, there's a few things that happen. When our care is high enough that people feel care, and we win the heart, there's some things that are going to happen. The energy level is going to go up. The effort is going to go up. The enthusiasm is going to go up. And the initiative is going to go up. And so what that means is, you know, people will be more excited about what's going on and what they're doing. They'll put more effort into being a part of what they're doing and what's going on. And hopefully it'll get to the point where they don't have to be asked to do it. They'll just see a need and they'll do it. And so that's the ultimate goal of building this, winning the heart of through care, is that people will get to a point where they just really feel connected to the business, the church, where they don't have to be asked or told to do anything and everything that happens around that business. So of course, when we talk about winning the heart, you know, in the church setting, I was telling Mother earlier, you know, I haven't really done this so much in churches, so I really want to be relevant to the church, because I believe that there's some special things that should happen in the church setting, even beyond the business, just because Pastor and I was kind of talking about things just a little bit in the fellowship hall, but the church ought to be a place where people come and feel cared for more than anywhere else in the world. I mean, this ought to be just the place where, that broken heart can come, that person, like I said, at the end of their rope can come, and just that little hug, that little touch on the back will do them good, and really send them out, feeling another way. Maybe just that they can go just a little bit further. But what that takes in a church setting, when we talk about that change of heart, the Holy Ghost, the Spirit of God is a big part of that change. It's a necessary part of that change. It's something that really the church cannot really change without. I thank God for Elder McGee, Pastor Dad, Elder McGee. He a great preacher, evangelist. He got it into us that, when we were knee-high to a grasshopper, we were coming to church. And so, as they said, I've been in church all my life. All I know is church. And so, and I tell people all the time, I thank God for the grand old Church of God in Christ. There's no church in the world like it. The experience that you get at the Church of God in Christ. I mean, the love, the feeling, the care, the preach word, the taught word. To me, it's just nothing like it in the world. And so, I do love meeting new saints, coming into new environments, because I just, like I said, as you all, I was thinking at home, I wasn't nervous at home. The closest I was driving, I started to, you start to get a few butterflies, because you thinking about you're gonna see all of these strange faces, and should I look up to not be nervous? Should I look down? But as everyone was coming in, and they really made me feel comfortable and really welcome me, and so I really did feel the care, and so I really want to appreciate that. I really want to give you all it really took away the butterflies, even before I got up here, and then being able to go back and stand around as y'all were dying. So I also really appreciate that y'all having me here. So there's a few things. So we talked about care not just being an action word, and so now as we talk about heart and care, the question is gonna so who and why? So who do we choose and why do we choose these people? So because like I said, everybody can care. Anybody can care. Anybody can show care, and so there's a few things that I just want to. I just want to use a few scriptures. Acts 6:3. When as the church was in its new stage, when the church was getting started, the Grecians, they looked out and they saw that their wives, they felt that their wives weren't being cared for, and they came to the apostles and said, hey, our wives are being neglected. And so the apostles didn't want to leave the work of the ministry, so they said, hey, look out among you, several men, but there were some key things about those men that they wanted, find you some men, full of the Holy Ghost, full of wisdom, and so, those are, as we talk to this, those are some key components, full of the Holy Ghost, full of wisdom, of honest report, and so those are characteristics, characteristics that we're looking for. So, okay, and then we go to Matthew 12:35. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things. And likewise, an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth evil things. And so, as we think about that, this heart thing is becoming more and more important, because heart, and then we go on to Matthew 15:19, and out of the heart proceeded, evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, all of these things, blasphemies, false witnesses, all of these things, come from this same old heart, this same old heart that once most of them that once had these evil thoughts now have to be changed so that they have all of this goodness. Okay? And so it's going to take this heart change for us to really be able to care for our people like we desire to care. Okay, and lastly, Galatians 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is, and in contrast to all of those evil things, the fruit of the Spirit, and that Spirit being a key word, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance, all of these things is what make our care really genuine. It really gives people the ability to really feel what we are giving them. And so when we have people, as Pastor said, coming in the door and, you know, not being greeted, there's just something about that heart that wants somebody that come in here to really connect, because you don't, even if they have no desire at all to be a member or anything, but there's just something about the church that love just ought to flow, that even when they weren't thinking about coming back, we've heard it many times. I don't know why I came here today. It was just something that drew me. But 9 times out of 10, if they've ever been there, it was just something. And we used to say it, and you used to hear an old pastor say it years and years ago, them old mothers. It used to come up in so many of the messages, but them old mothers. It was just something about the way them old mothers show care. I mean, it may be for a new person walking in out the street. It may be for a young mother in the church, but it was just something. They were so full of wisdom, so full of care, so full of love that they just made coming just a more genuine experience. And so it is. We're trying to continue that legacy of care that this church and our business, we want to have in our business, that it's always been. And so as we're looking for this care, we have to look at the conditions of the heart. And so there's some things that we look for in a negative part, and there are some things that we look for in a positive part. So one of the things is we're looking to becoming this five-star church through serving, through what are we replacing that serving with? Care. Through care. All right. One of those is a negative heart is always going to say, "What's in it for me?" The heart that's not that genuine heart, that heart that really hasn't been changed, has one agenda: the M and the E. And so our goal is we want to get beyond the M and the E. Number 2, the negative heart, not always, but I will tell you, even in my experience, a lot of time, the negative heart, and it kind of always comes back to the me factor. They will come to you and ask you, "Can I be a leader?" And most of the time when somebody comes to you and asks you, do they want to be a leader, there's an ulterior motive. Because most of the time you're going to see the leader in a leader before they become a leader. You should see leader in a leader before they become a leader. Because leader is not a position, leader is a characteristic. It's just something that makes you do. It's something down on the inside of you that doesn't wait to be asked. It's something that just says, "Hey, this needs to be done, and I see it's something I can do, so I do it." I know how to fix the leg on the pew, so pastor don't have to give me a title for me as pew fixer to come in and fix the pew. I'd be glad to do that because I can do that. I know how to use a screwdriver. I can do it. If I see a little dab in it and I can put a little paint on that wall, I know how to put a little paint on that wall, so I don't have to be compensated and I don't have to get a title, but I don't mind because I love the church. I love the business that I work for. So, and then lastly, one of those negative things of the heart is like it's a glory seeker. It wants to be, it just wants to be out there. It wants to be on top. It just wants to be recognized. If I do this, what are you gonna say? If I do this, what are you gonna do for me? Are you gonna tell people I did? Everybody needs to know I did this. So that's one of those conditions of a negative heart. Okay? And so, in contrast, there has to be something of a positive heart. And with the positive heart, it's that see it, do it. A positive heart says, if there's something that I can do, I'm going to do it. I don't have to be asked. I don't have to be told. As long as the pastor don't mind and I get the okay, I'm so glad to do it. I'm so glad to be able to be a blessing to the church. I'm so glad to be able to be a blessing to my fellow members that I'm just so glad that I'm just going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then, number two, a positive heart encourages. A positive heart is constantly encouraging because there's just so much discouragement all around us. And one of the things that our founder, every time he got up in any meeting, the one thing he used to say, and I think you've heard me say this, Brother D, but how do you know if someone needs encouragement? Have you not heard me say that?
I don't think so.
Okay. I said it. You missed it. So now we know he wasn't paying attention to my meeting. So, but True and Cat that I found, one of the things he used to say all the time was, how do you know someone needs encouragement? If they're breathing. Because everybody needs encouragement. Everybody, no matter where they are in their life, rich, poor, it doesn't matter, pretty, ugly, everybody needs encouragement at some point in their life. Everybody needs just that little word of encouragement. The one that's doing a lot needs to know that you can do more. Those that's not doing anything need to know you can do something. Those that are doing a little bit needs to know that you can also do more. And so those are two of the positives. And then lastly, to me, the number one thing in contrast to that person asking, can I be a leader of a, and the opposite positive effect of that is someone with a positive heart can be a follower. That means that, number one, they can receive instruction. Number two, they can receive correction. And then number three, they can go with someone else's program sometime. They ought to be able to do it somebody else's way sometime without getting upset, without not wanting to participate. And so if that person has that heart, that changed heart, that positive heart, then some of those characteristics ought to be evident. Some of them ought to be evident when they come, because like I said, care is an action word. So when they are caring, when they're serving, some of those characteristics ought to be evident of that heart. Okay? All right. So now, I want to give some. As I was, going through this and I thought about it, I was like, man, I would just, I really have some great examples of this care, of this heart. And so I want to give a few examples right quick. They won't take long at all. But one of the first examples that I love so much, in 1 Samuel 17, David, we know David, he was at this time, he was a young man going down. His father Jethro sent him down to go see how his, Jethro? Daisy, yeah. Jesse, I'm sorry, I knew that didn't sound right. Sent him down to go see how his brothers were faring, because his brothers were all older. They were had joined the army. They were warriors now, and so David went down to see about his brothers, and while he was down there, he come to find out that this big giant Goliath was coming against God's army, was trying to defy, God's army. And so as David goes down there, David, he goes down and he asks, the question, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the army of God? And mind you, this is a young lad. David at this point is a young lad. And so, so we going down, they kind of go through the story of telling David, about the Philistines and these big giants and how tough they are. And so David, he tells Saul, well, hey, let me go fight this giant. Let me go fight this giant. And all of this was just out of care. Because number one, he cared for God's people. And so who is this giant that would dare to come against God's people? I care too much about them to let this giant, defy us. And, if this giant defeat us, then our name is, God's name gonna go down. His people's name is gonna go down. And so as he's doing this, then he starts to just give his testimony of really about how much he cared. And so what David said, so as we going down to 35, he started to explain to Saul why he should let him go and fight this giant. So what he tells Saul is, thy servant, I kept my father's sheep, I was keeping my father's sheep, there came a lion, there came a bear, took a lamb out of the flock. And so not only did I tried to get, he said, but I went after the lion, I went after the bird. And not only that, but I took the lamb out of his mouth. And then after I took him out of his mouth, he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and I smote him and slew him. And so, how many of you really think that David did all of this because he wanted to be a leader? He was just doing this because he cared. He was doing all of this just because he cared. Didn't know he was going to be king one day, hadn't thought about being a king. He was actually, in all of this, he was serving Saul. He was actually caring for his king at the time. He was actually just caring. And then we go to Moses. In Exodus 2, 11 and 12, Moses sees a Egyptian striking a Hebrew, and mind you, Moses wasn't even raised with them. He was actually raised in the king's palace, raised around these other Egyptians, but his heart, he still had that heart. Still had a heart that was connected to the people, still had a heart of care, still had that heart of concern for his people. And so he sees this Egyptian smiting the Hebrew, so so his natural instinct is to defend his people. The heart says, hey, nobody's gonna strike, my people. And so he goes and he defends his Hebrew brethren, and he kills this Egyptian. Lo and behold, we know the story, somebody's looking, he have to run for his life. But who really thought that he did that because he wanted to lead? He just cared. Just cared for his brethren enough to defend him. Probably didn't even have intention. In my mind, I say he may not even had intention of killing him at the time. But sometimes, you're so angry, you just get, so fed up. You see things going on around you that you can't do anything about. And so the one thing that he could do, he could defend his brother. And so that's what he did. He defended his brother. Next thing you know, he's running for his life. Never thinking that someday he's going to be leading God's people. And then lastly, Solomon. 2 Chronicles 1 and 10. So we have another young lad. Although Solomon had been chosen king, God asked Solomon one day, Solomon, what can I do for you? Out of all that Solomon had, out of all the stuff he could have asked for, Solomon says, give me wisdom and knowledge that I may go out and come in before your people. For who can judge this thy people that is so great? And so out of all the things in the world that Solomon, God, his great God asked him, what can I give you? And out of all the things he could have asked for, he just wanted wisdom to go in and out before his people. He just wanted to show, not only did that show that he cared, but he was asking for the thing that would help him give the right care and concern for his people. And so I just think that those few examples were so profound of people that just cared, not even thinking about leadership, but because they showed such great, because their hearts were so big, because their hearts were so right, because their hearts were so changed, it just set them up to be the right kind of leader that could serve God's people. Okay? And so, now, as we kind of wind down, so the reason we chose the attribute care is because those are going to turn out to be acronyms for care is going to help us do 4 things. When the heart is changed and when care is really done right, it's going to, number 1, C is going to bring connection. And connection just means it just makes us stronger together. And that's what care does. Care just makes us stronger together. It shows that because someone loves me, because someone shows concern for me, then it builds relationship. Affirmation, recognition, and recognition really, like I said, everybody likes to be appreciated, but everybody shouldn't do what they do just to get accolades. And I listen to this guy on the radio every Sunday. One of the things he always says, the 2 biggest words in the most important or biggest, I forget which word one he used, but the 2 biggest or most important words in the English language, thank you. he says it every Sunday. The 2 biggest words in the English language, thank you. So, and it's okay, when we're willing to let go of some of the credit, and sometimes even when we do stuff and people don't know we did stuff, and somebody's, yeah, we thank God for the news. It's just clap with everybody else. We don't have to stand up and say, Yep, that was me. I did all of that. But, it's just something about that humble heart. It's just something about, because believe me, you won't lose your reward. When you do for the church, when you do anything for anybody, there's a blessing in it. And some of it, you just never know how that blessing's gonna come. There's just some hard things. Sometimes it's just good for your own heart. And then R, responsibility, trust, and one of the things responsibility is a big thing for me. When I got to that one, I was just like, there's some really profound things about being able to give good responsibility. We all have to do it. Especially a man in my business. If I had to do everything, I'm like Moses. I would be dead now. When Moses was trying to judge the people, his father-in-law told him, Moses, you're gonna kill yourself. You need to get you. But he went back to that thing. He said, you need to get you some men that fear God. You need some help, Moses. And so that's exactly what he did. He went out, he got him some men that he knew. He put them over thousands and hundreds and fifties, and we read about it. And so, but responsibility is a big part of that care. We gotta know that there are other people that can care. We want them to care like we want them to care, but there are other people that can care. And so us caring together helps us build that relationship together. And so lastly, E, environment. And that environment is building an environment, a cohesiveness of working together, a culture of just working together. All of us moving the same way in the right direction, with the same effort, the same goals. All of us knowing that, me as a business owner, I have goals, and I let my leadership team know what those goals are. And then I, in turn, give them the responsibility and hope and trust that they will go out and that I don't have to be there looking over their shoulder, watching over their back, that they know what Ms. McGee's expectation is, and they're gonna go out and knock it out for me every day. And so I know Pastor's the same way. He, can't be everywhere at the same time. And so I can imagine as a pastor, I like I said, my dad, 50 years, the phone ringing, he needs that, she needs that, they need a little encouragement, they need a little prayer. And so, responsibility, and I understand you can't give it to everybody, but that's why, that heart is such a big part of that recipe for that 5-star church. That changed heart is a big part of that recipe. And lastly, I want to give one of probably the greatest examples probably ever written in the Bible. It's a couple of them actually. It's so funny when you talk about, Jesus actually, he was a great example of all. But he gave two of the greatest responsibilities that were ever given. Not two of the two greatest responsibilities that was ever given. He himself gave. Number one, he told the man of God, he said, "I give you the keys to the kingdom. Whatever you bind in heaven, I'm gonna bind. Whatever you bind in heaven will be bound. Whatever you bind on earth, I'll bind in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth, I'm going to loose in heaven." I mean, can you really, honestly, sometimes I just wonder if we really realize what they're saying. And then he goes on to give them the Great Commission, go ye into all the world. You talking about responsibility. That was the greatest responsibilities that were ever given. Go ye into all the world. Preach, to gospel to every creature. Every creature. He didn't say to men and women. He said creature. That everything that moves, you preach. You tell them about my goodness. And so that's really what we do. We just trying to share this goodness. We just trying to let this goodness spread. And then lastly, the great example of care. We all know the story, Luke 10, 30 through 35, the Good Samaritan. A certain man fell into among thieves, stripped of his clothes, left on the road. They bruised him, left on the road for dead. Lo and behold, a priest comes by, passes on the other side, the religious guy. Then lo and behold, the Levite, another religious guy, comes by. I have to give it to him. He did look down on him. He looked on him, but then he passed on the other side. And then finally, just this stranger, this guy comes, takes him, puts him on his own beast, pours his own wine, his own oil in his wounds, and takes him to an inn, tell the keeper, hey, I did everything I could for him for now. I'm going to leave you some money. If anything else he needs, you take care of him. And then when I come back, if that's not enough, I'll pay you whatever else was lacking. And so you talking about a great example of care. Somebody that didn't know him at all, had never seen this guy, but just out of the goodness of that wonderful heart, he was able to make that change. And you can imagine what it did for a man that was left on the road for dead, that had the opportunity to just go a little further. And so, in a nutshell, I would just like to say I really appreciate this opportunity to come and to share. I hope that I have said something that will help our 5-star encouraging service. And thank y'all so much. I really enjoyed my time here. Thank y'all for having me.
Man, we're so grateful to have Mr. Stacy McGee. Didn't we enjoy that? I tell you, that just blessed my heart. So I just get nuggets after nuggets hearing that. But if you wouldn't mind, Mr. McGee, would you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Not
Some people may have
and
a
I'm
few
sorry, that
questions.
was my intention. I'm so sorry. Yeah, not at all, not at all. And I don't think I need the mic.
Oh, okay. We know you did, so we don't want to keep you long.
No. I just honestly forgot. I had every intention of letting you all asking the questions if you had it. So please do. Yes.
And you can answer from a business perspective or your own personal, spiritual, perspective, but, in dealing with your, business, you were mostly talking about caring, taking out serving, but caring and focusing on the heart and caring for people and winning people through showing how you care. What would you say, has been your most difficult challenge in dealing with people, and what personal things do you use instead of losing them, winning them by caring, even though they may be difficult?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because, you know, and I'm just gonna tell you what I've told my leadership team is just, there's some people, no matter what you do, you can't satisfy them. Because, you know, they will say, you know, if you say, okay, I do that, okay, well, you do that, and I want this. Or you do that, and I want this. Really, honestly, our goal is, you know, so we kind of have some guidelines about how we treat, you know, depending on each situation. We try to keep every situation individual, you know, don't treat every situation the same. Chick-fil-A in itself is a brand where people have come to understand that if you call Chick-fil-A and say, I didn't get something, they just gonna say, give it to them, you know? And so we get a lot of that. We get a lot of fraudulent calls, you know. I was in there yesterday and my whole order was messed up. And do you have a receipt? Oh, I threw it away. You know, and they just expect, okay, just come get all of this food. No, that's just sometimes you just have to draw the line. And really, basically, we just say we're gonna do everything that we can within reason to recover that guest. And then beyond that, if we can't recover that guest, we just have to say, I'm sorry. That's just something I can't do. But we're gonna do everything that we can within reason to satisfy that guest. And so, you know, like I said, it depends on the situation, but we try to go through the extreme. Sometimes we'll just, I just got a call really recently, Friday, yeah, just got a call yesterday from my, or Thursday, I got the call Thursday from my, we also have a care line. If we don't resolve it on our level, or they may not even call us and go straight to corporate, and they'll call and say, hey, you know, I was in Stacy's store and I did this and this. Well, a guy came in and, you know, Texas has this open carry law now. Well, a guy was in there with his open carry pistol on his hip. And I wasn't even at the store, but one of my managers called me and said, a customer saying he's uncomfortable with this guy. Will y'all tell him to leave? Well, that's the law. You need to write your customer about that. But he's called Chick-fil-A about 3 or 4 times. But he said, and I don't want the operator to call me because clearly he don't understand. He don't understand the law. So I said, okay, well, you handle it, you know, because I'm not gonna ask the guy to leave, you know, I'm not gonna go back there and, hey, you know, they done told him he can carry a gun. I said, if he feel that uncomfortable, call 911, you know. And so it's sometimes it's an extreme and sometimes it's easy, you know, but as long as it's a genuine resolution, we try our best to do it on our level before it goes up the ladder to corporate. And that's really the best I can do on that one, because that's a big question. You know, we deal with so many different situations day in and day out. It's not funny. Yeah, and so we just, like I said, we try our best to care as much as possible, show the guests that we're genuine about trying to recover you, and then outside of that, we just have to let them make up their mind that they're gonna, you know, come back, continue to patronize Chick-fil-A or not. My pleasure. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I was just listening to you talking about your business, not just 1,000 years. How many times do you feel like giving an order away, saying you can't do it, you can't do it, because you experience that and just put spark in your life?
Right. Well, you know what? I would tell you there were some times where, you know, once again, I have to thank God for my parents, because, you know, I just believe that those are the times that strengthen your character. But yeah, there have been times when it just seemed like you make 1 step forward, 2 steps. You know, you hire one, you lose 2. You hire 2, you lose 4. And it just seems like every progress you make, it goes backwards. And so you wake up some of those days and say, man, was this really meant for me? Did God really order my steps? Did he really plan for this? And then, you start to think about all the lives you've touched and all the people that you have influenced, in a positive way, and all the blessing that you've tried to be in the community and the things you've done. And you said, you pray and you say, Lord, I need a little bit more strength. I need that encouragement. And then you prepare your heart for the new day. So yeah, absolutely. We all have those. I think we all have those days.
I would like to say, not a question, but I would like to say, and I've always said it, I know I've told my husband that plenty of times, that I have to really commend the Chick-fil-A brand, because when you talk about caring and the things that you try to exhibit, it comes across, and no matter what Chick-fil-A I go to, I get the same pleasurable experience. And it just amazes me. I'm like, what? And I'm like, what do they teach you all here? I mean, because I kid you not, no matter what Chick-fil-A I go to on the north side, south, west, east, it's the same experience. Nobody's ever rude. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I think whatever training that you guys are doing over there is some good training.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure. And what's funny is, I didn't mention this on the offset, but I was just sharing with Brother D and some of my leadership team on this week, I think it was, or last week, that was just a few days early. But our company, so Chick-fil-A had a mission for years and years of be remarkable. And that what that meant is give every guest a visit worthy of them remarking to someone else about. But just literally here in the last less than a year, they changed it. Our new corporate mission is to be America's most caring company. And so that's why I was so honored when he asked me about coming. I was like, hey, how ironic is that? And so yeah, that's actually Chick-fil-A's mission, is because there's a lot. The reason they changed it, I was sharing, is remarkable experiences come in a lot of forms, shapes, fashions to different people. Commenting on somebody's shirt to somebody that think they really dressed up, that's remarkable to them, telling them how good they look, But when you talk about care is just care. You can just, care is just that genuine, like I said, that genuine thing of the heart where, you can just, hey, how you doing today? Is everything all right? I mean, I've had it, man. It's amazing being a business owner, me personally, and I don't know if people feel my spirit genuineness, but sometimes I used to say it's just like being a bartender. I mean, people would come in, can I talk to you for a minute? And I mean, I'm talking like everybody from police officers to the general public, and they would share stuff just going through. Like I said, everybody needs encouragement. Just going through stuff you just would not believe. I would not believe a police officer would come and share this stuff with me. And so Chick-fil-A has a video that we use during part of our training that says, what's that? You don't know where this. How's that video? What's the name of that video? You don't know where they are right now. It have all these captions about she just lost her dad today. She just lost her husband. You know the video?
Do you pay attention? Do you be paying attention?
He's really slipped into that, y'all.
Do you be in these videos?
And he's the one that helps the team member to watch the videos for.
Oh my Lord. Big training department.
I forget what it's called, but it's really neat. So what it does, it tries to encourage the team members to come with your A game every day, because you don't know what a guest is going through. And so when you encounter this guest, just absolutely being your absolute best positive person, you don't know how far it's gonna go. And so what it is, as they're waiting on people, you know, it shows people, you know, just general guests walking into the store. Some of them are at the counter, and some of them are sitting at tables as the team members walk around to serve them. They have these captions over their, you know, over their head, and like I said, one of them would say, this team member just lost her mother, or this team member, this person, she just lost her husband of 50 years. And so it's really neat the way Chick-fil-A did it, because it really does expose all those many things that are going on out there in different people's hearts and minds, that we never know how the difference from serving a Chick-fil-A sandwich the right way is going to impact their life. I mean, it's really amazing. It really is amazing.
Your butterfly just transferred to the brother.
I think that's the one reading the customer. Yeah, reading the customer.
He just drew a blank.
Ma'am. Oh, help you with.
So I know mostly that your business is mostly family orientated. Could you give, I guess, some skeptics of how important it is, or how has it been working with family?
Well, so that's actually, you know, that's another thing I will say. I thank God for every day. I have seen so many people and talked to so many people that said that there is no way, there's just no way that I would work with family members. But our, and I would say our faith, you know, our upbringing, the value that we were taught about family, and not only the value for family, but just treating other people. My business, I have a sister and a brother that works for me. I have some nieces and nephews, but even though we're at the business, they still call me Uncle Stacy. You know, I'm still Uncle Stacy. They don't call me Stacy, and so there's still that fine line between brother and sister and boss at work. They still respect me like that. I respect them for the roles that they have in my business, but they still know they're just like the rest of the team. They know my desires. They don't go outside of my desires for what I expect at my Chick-fil-A without asking me something that they have a question about. If there's something they question, they'll absolutely call me and say, hey, I know you said, or you know, if there's something different that they are thinking about doing or whatever that is, they respect me in the capacity as their owner at Chick-fil-A. And so, yeah, I thank God for that every day, you know, having people that you can depend on, trusting, that are siblings. I've talked to, I mean, people in every aspect. One guy, I mean, he told me he's well off. He's got multiple businesses. He's told me how he tried to invite his family and his brother, ripped him off. He was letting he also runs trucks, and he let a brother, you know, try to do that for him. Brother was taking all of that money, and I mean, just one thing after another, so many stories. But I really have been in a blessed position over my, you know, when we talk about being number 7 of 11 siblings, at some point in time, I've had one other sister back when I was in the mall that worked for me before she finished college, and she was one of my managers. I've had multiple. By now, we're probably way on up to probably well over almost probably 30, you know, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and all of that stuff. So, as I always say, you know, God prepared a resource stream for me as all of these siblings. Same thing, we felt the same way. My dad felt the same way as the church was growing. As long as people were having kids, the church was growing. And so I always felt that I had a good stream, a good resource for team members. And so, but I've been really blessed. I've never ever had an issue, never had to sit down with a sister or brother, niece or nephew and say, hey, you're gonna have to show some respect, you know, we at, you know, business now. never had, when they come over into the business, it's automatically, they come over into that transition where they know how to respect me, I know how to respect them. Yes, ma'am?
So you don't treat your relationship no different from the other employees, right?
Well, I don't know, you would have to ask Brother D that one.
Sometimes you do things
Right.
when your family's working for you,
Right.
it's more like family
I would have
favoritism.
one. Yeah, I think it's still sitting on there. I really appreciate that. I think it's still, I just let it sit on there. Yes, ma'am. So, as related to my business, I don't think I do. I try my best not to because like I said, there's a fine line because I want them to know that I have a business to run first. And that's the reason I selected them because they could be a benefit to my business. I'm not hiring them just to give them a financial, resource or anything like that. I want them to know that, hey, if you can make the contribution that we need, yeah, I can absolutely use you in my business. And so, I don't think I show any preferential treatment. Like I said, I treat them, if I will tell you, if I have an issue with anybody, my sister or brother, I'm gonna sit them down just like I do anybody else. I give them the same opportunity, I tell them what they need to correct, what they need to fix, and I think I do. Like I said, when I leave, he'll let you know if I do. And if I don't know that I do. So let's say that if I do, I don't know it. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you for coming. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Are there any, ideas or something that you could give us that would benefit our church to where we could get funds from the outside coming in?
That one, I don't have too much experience.